1995 video game buyer's guide. Over 900 games reviewed. They're all very small print reviews on this. We're not going to read them all. But okay, this is an issue that I got like pretty recently. I picked this up because how old was I in 1995? I was 7. I was 7 in 1995. A very critical year for my video gaming tastes. Donkey Kong Country 2 and Yoshi's Island. I mean, those are my favorite games till this day. Some of my favorite games till this day. But yes, I had this issue when I was a little kid in 1995, and it took me a long time to figure out what it was, because I remembered having it, and I only remembered a few details, and it took some like diving through the Internet Archive at various things like this, but I finally figured out that this is what I had when I was a little kid that completely blew my mind about like the state of the video game industry. So I want to share this with you guys. Okay, so this is by EGM, and it doesn't say it anywhere on the cover, I don't think, except on the spine. It says 1995 EGM Video Game Buyer's Guide. So yeah, I bought this recently after I figured out that this is an issue that I had when I was a kid and have fond memories of. This is a Donkey Kong Country ad. Does this ape with googly eyes make you want to play Donkey Kong Country? I don't know. But then they talk a lot about it over here. Like, this is where the actual ad is. This is like the only EGM that I think I had. Oh, this has Best and Worst of 1994 in it. Video Game of the Year was DKC. What do you guys think? Do you agree with EGM's pick for Game of the Year 94? I probably do. They've got Game of the Year for lots of different systems for each system. So for SNES, it's obviously DKC. For Genesis, it was Earthworm Jim. For Sega CD, Ground Zero Texas. Okay, this is why this issue blew my mind, because this was the year where there were like the most video game consoles on the market ever. I had never heard of 3DO or Neo Geo or CDI or Jaguar until I had this issue. By the way, best CDI game of 94, which is probably the only year that they made CDI games. Burn Cycle. Best RPG, Final Fantasy 3, which is Final Fantasy 6, as we all know. What else is interesting on here? Beavis and Butthead. Best RPG Japanese, Final Fantasy 6. Why? Interesting. You'd think that they maybe would limit it to games that didn't get released in the US. But look, this is cool. They talk about games that are only out in Japan. So, best shooter, they've got Macross Scrambled Valkyrie for Super Famicom. And best action game, they call it Dracula X, but this is Rondo of Blood that they're talking about, not Super Nintendo Dracula X. Let's see, best animation, DKC. Best movie to game, JVC's Super Return of the Jedi. I had this game as a kid, and I liked it a lot, so maybe that's okay. Maybe I agree with that. Best game duo is Donkey and Diddy, of course. What else we got? Worst system launch, Jaguar. Worst system launch. Was it up against the CDI? Maybe the CDI was 93. Grossest character, Boogerman. Any of you guys know Boogerman? My son played this game recently. I don't remember what it was that made him want to play it. We were like scrolling through games on my arcade cabinet, and Boogerman came up when we were looking through like the Super Nintendo library, and he said he wanted to play it, and he tried it, and he was like so shocked at it. He was scandalized by Boogerman. He was like, "This is inappropriate." All right, okay, this is the place where all of the consoles are listed, and this is like the thing that I remember from this issue from when I was a little kid. This is where it has a little blurb about all of these consoles, and of course I knew Super Nintendo and Genesis as a kid, and I like had heard of Sega CD, but then you get to this page and it's like Neo Geo, 3DO, Jaguar, Sony PlayStation at this point was only out in Japan, and I was like, what the heck are these things? There's so much to the world of video games. The CDI, that's what it looks like. They even have the Pioneer Laser Active on here, which is like a laser disc system with like interactive laser discs. And okay, the thing about the Laser Interactive that is really notable, there are these 3 modules for it. One of them is a TurboGrafx module, one of them is a Sega Genesis module, and the other is karaoke. But you could like get these independently and then play Genesis and TurboGrafx games on the Pioneer Laser Active. So this is like an extremely rare console nowadays. Very interesting and unique. 32X and Saturn, and it just keeps going with consoles, and it's still going. And it even gets to the NEC FX. I feel like it's called something else, something different. But anyways, this is like the follow-up to the PC Engine that never came out in the US. So just like seeing all of this stuff completely blew my mind as a kid. And here they have EGM's reviews of all these consoles. Super Nintendo, best ratings, I think. It's not ranked in order here, but it's definitely ranked in popularity, maybe. Although Super Nintendo, I think they give the highest scores. Sega CD, I feel like, is a little bit underrated. I mean, there was a lot of trash on the Sega CD, but there's also a good amount of gems. They rated the 32X pretty high. The Laser Active, they gave pretty low scores. Okay, this is like completely unfair. The NES, they gave 2s. Also, this is an era where you could still buy an NES alongside all these other systems. That's why this is such an insane time. I honestly think that having this issue when I was a kid is something that, like, set me down the path of being into video games forever. They review the Amiga CD here. The only thing that I know about the Amiga CD is, like, the Angry Video Game Nerd video on it. Okay, now this is like their 900 game reviews. We got some Mortal Kombat strategy. We got some Street Fighter 2 stuff. Virtua Fighter. So there's a big, like, section in the middle on fighting games. Darkstalkers. We've got all the fighting game tips. Oh, what is this? Primal Rage, right? Primal Rage. Daytona, USA. Donkey Kong Country stuff. Some Donkey Kong Country tips and tricks. Look at this map. I love how this map is just like the entire spread. This map of the first water level. And then this map of the ice cave. Yeah, I really love this this particular magazine. Got Mega Man X. Look at what a year it was. Super Metroid, also 1994. Also some really cool maps for Super Metroid. I love seeing, like, the surface blown up like this. It's really cool. Look, I did not remember that this was in here, but we found it. It's Bubsy. It's Bubsy. It's because we said his name more than 3 times in chat. He was summoned. This is Bubsy 2 also. Bubsy only earned 2 pages in this. Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure, NBA Jam, Sonic 3. This was such a year. 1994. Streets of Rage 3. I've never played Streets of Rage 3. I've played through Streets of Rage 1 and 2. Someday I would love to play Streets of Rage 3. Street Racer. I don't know what this game is. Something called Street Racer. There's some sports games in the back. Okay, Star Control 2 on 3DO. Who knows about this game? I listened to a podcast about this game a little while ago, and they made it sound amazing. It's like a CRPG or Western RPG style game where you like fly a spaceship around the galaxy and interact with different aliens and stuff. And it was originally a PC game, and it got ported to 3DO, and I think this is actually probably one of the games that's worth having a 3DO for. Although the 3DO version of Star Control 2 has been ported back to modern PCs, and it's available for free with a different title. It's called Urquan Masters. Urquan is spelled like this. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's like UR-QUAN. So I downloaded this and installed it, and someday I would love to give it a proper try. It seems like it takes some effort to kind of get into. I also remember seeing this coverage of Jurassic Park for the 3DO in this magazine, and particularly I remember these screenshots and thinking that looked really cool. But of course nowadays I know what this game is, and it's really weird. This is it's like a collection of mini games, and they got like really low budget actors to like play the characters. And then I also remember this Alien vs. Predator game for Jaguar, and to this day this is like the game that I would want to try on the Jaguar. Like the only Jaguar game that really interests me is this Alien vs. Predator, and I remember reading about it in this magazine when I was very young. And that's pretty much it. Here's Burn Cycle, best CDI game of '94 apparently. Some stuff on Wario Land. Sonic Triple Trouble for Game Gear. I love this game. And then we have wrestling on the back. Okay, and that was 1995 Video Game Buyer's Guide from EGM. That was very fun. Thanks for checking that out with me, everyone.